Good evening, and welcome to the Quiet Library. Tonight, we journey to a city unlike any other in its time, a city where merchants arrived with silk from distant lands, where astronomers watched the heavens with quiet patience, where physicians sought to understand the human body, and where, perhaps more than anywhere else in the medieval world, knowledge itself became one of humanity's greatest treasures. Tonight, we travel to Baghdad. The year is around 830 AD. The sun is beginning its slow descent toward the western horizon. Its warm, golden light spreads across the waters of the Tigris River, turning every gentle ripple into flowing copper. A soft breeze stirs the leaves of date palms lining the riverbanks. Somewhere nearby, water trickles quietly through a stone fountain. Birds call to one another before settling into the gardens for the evening. Ahead, the city slowly comes into view. Its walls glow beneath the fading sun. Tall gateways welcome travelers arriving from every direction. Beyond them, elegant domes rise above shaded courtyards. Minarets reach toward an endless blue sky, slowly turning shades of amber. The air carries the comforting scent of fresh bread, sweet dates, warm spices, and jasmine blooming in hidden gardens. Everything feels peaceful, balanced, as though the city itself has learned to breathe slowly. Our small wooden boat glides gently toward the riverbank. Around us, other vessels arrive just as quietly. One carries woven carpets from Persia, another is loaded with fine paper from the east. Farther along the shore, a merchant carefully unloads bundles of cinnamon, black pepper, and fragrant cloves that have traveled thousands of miles across oceans and deserts. Every arrival brings more than goods. It brings stories, languages, ideas. Our guide smiles warmly. Welcome, he says, to Medinat al-Salam, the city of peace. That was the official name given to Baghdad when it was founded in 762 AD by the Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur. Although the world remembers it simply as Baghdad, its first name reflected a remarkable ambition. Not merely to build another city, but to create a place where people, commerce, learning, and culture could all flourish together. As we pass beneath one of the great gates, the city opens before us. Its streets are broad and carefully planned. Shaded walkways offer relief from the afternoon warmth. Canals carry fresh water through neighborhoods filled with gardens and fruit trees. Children laugh quietly as they chase one another through small courtyards. Artisans sit outside their workshops, patiently shaping wood, hammering delicate metal, or weaving colorful fabrics upon wooden looms. The city feels wonderfully alive, but not hurried, simply alive. And our guide explains that Baghdad was unlike most great cities before it. Rather than growing gradually over centuries, it was carefully planned from the very beginning. Its original design was almost perfectly circular. Massive walls surrounded the city. Wide avenues stretched outward from its center like the spokes of a wheel. Travelers from distant lands often marveled at its astonishing, thoughtful design. Some believed no city had ever been built with such careful attention. As the years passed, Baghdad became one of the largest cities on earth. People arrived from every direction, from Egypt, Persia, India, Central Asia, the Byzantine Empire, even lands far beyond the Mediterranean. Each traveler brought something unique. Some carried silk, others precious manuscripts, some brought scientific instruments, others carried only curiosity. History often celebrates conquerors, but cities become extraordinary for a different reason. They welcome strangers. They exchange ideas. They allow knowledge to travel farther than any single person ever could. And as we continue walking, the evening light begins turning softer. Golden rays filter through rows of palm trees. Pigeons flutter across quiet courtyards. Nearby, a bookseller carefully arranges freshly copied manuscripts upon wooden shelves outside his shop. Some volumes contain poetry, others mathematics, medicine, astronomy, history. The smell of fresh ink lingers in the warm evening air. It is difficult to imagine a time when books themselves were among the world's greatest treasures. Every page had been copied carefully by hand. Every illustration painted patiently by skilled artists. Every completed manuscript represented months, sometimes years, of devoted work. Our guide notices our curiosity. He smiles again. "There is a place," he says softly, "where the greatest minds of our age gather. A place where scholars from many lands work side by side. A place where ideas travel farther than caravans." He pauses, looking toward the heart of the city. "It's there," he says quietly. "The house of wisdom." Its lamps have already begun to glow against the approaching evening. We will step inside and discover one of the greatest centers of learning the world has ever known. The evening has grown quieter. The warmth of the day slowly gives way to a gentle breeze drifting across the city. Oil lamps begin appearing one by one along the streets. Their golden light reflects softly upon polished stone. Our guide leads us through a peaceful neighborhood where the sounds of the marketplace gradually fade behind us. Ahead, a beautiful building comes into view. It is not the tallest in Baghdad, nor the grandest. Its beauty lies elsewhere. Wide wooden doors stand open. Elegant archways frame peaceful courtyards. Water flows gently through marble fountains. Orange trees fill the evening air with faint citrus fragrance. A handful of scholars stroll quietly beneath the arches. Some carry bundles of manuscripts tied carefully with linen cords. Others pause beneath the trees, all engaged in calm conversation. No one raises their voice. Knowledge has no need to hurry. We have arrived. Before us stands the Bayt al-Hikma, the House of Wisdom. Historians still debate exactly how it was organized and how large it became over time, but there is little doubt that during the Abbasid era, it was one of the greatest centers of scholarship anywhere in the world. Here, books were collected, ideas were exchanged, questions were welcomed, and learning became a shared journey. We step quietly inside. The air is pleasantly cool. The scent of parchment, fresh paper, ink, and cedar wood fills the room. Shelves rise from floor to ceiling. Some hold carefully rolled scrolls. Others contain beautifully bound books. Maps rest upon large wooden tables. Nearby, an enormous globe slowly turns beneath the gentle hands of an elderly scholar. He traces a finger across distant lands, not because he plans to conquer them, but because he wishes to understand them. The room itself feels alive, but not with noise, with concentration. The gentle scratching of reed bands across paper creates a quiet rhythm. Page after page is copied with extraordinary care. Every letter is formed patiently. A single mistake could change the meaning of an entire sentence. Across the room, a young apprentice carefully grinds soot and natural gum into rich black ink. Beside him, another mixes brilliant blue pigment made from crushed lapis lazuli. Even the tools of learning are treated with respect. Our guide explains that not every book here was written in Arabic. Many began their lives in other languages: Greek, Persian, Syriac, Sanskrit. Scholars traveled great distances to find these works. Sometimes they purchased them, sometimes they copied them, sometimes rulers exchanged manuscripts as diplomatic gifts. One civilization would preserve a book, another would translate it, a third would expand upon its ideas. Knowledge rarely belongs to only one people. It grows stronger each time another generation adds its own understanding and perception. We pause beside a translator seated near an open window. Two manuscripts lie before him, one in Greek, the other in Arabic. He reads a single sentence, then stops to reflect, then carefully writes it again. Translation is not simply replacing one word with another. It requires deep understanding. It requires patience and curiosity, and sometimes a translator must also become a teacher. Nearby, several scholars quietly discuss the writings of Aristotle. Another studies the works of Hippocrates, whose ideas about medicine had traveled across centuries. Elsewhere, mathematical diagrams cover smooth wooden tablets. Astronomical charts record. This is not merely a library. It is a place where questions are allowed to live. Outside, the fountain continues its gentle song. The sky beyond the courtyard has deepened into soft shades of violet. A crescent moon now hangs about the palm trees. Its reflection trembles gently upon the water. Our guide notices our fascination. He smiles quietly. Books preserve the past, but conversations create the future. Perhaps this is why this place became so remarkable. Not because it collected knowledge, but because people gathered here to build upon it together. As the lamps burn a little brighter, one scholar enters carrying several freshly copied pages. Another leaves with a stack of manuscripts to continue studying at home. The house of wisdom never truly sleeps. Its doors may close for the evening, but its ideas continue traveling from teacher to student, from city to city, from century to century. We will meet some of the remarkable minds whose quiet work change mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and the way humanity understands the world. The moon has climbed a little higher. Its pale light now spills gently into the courtyards of the House of Wisdom. The city beyond its walls grows quieter with each passing hour. The markets have closed. The last merchants have returned home. Only the occasional footsteps of a traveler echo through the narrow streets of Baghdad. Inside the library, the lamps continue to burn. Knowledge, it seems, keeps different hours. A young scholar carefully adjusts the wick of an oil lamp, and its flame grows brighter. Across the room, someone quietly rolls up a finished manuscript before placing it inside a wooden case lined with soft cloth. Nearby, an elderly librarian smiles with quiet satisfaction. Another book has been preserved for the future. Perhaps someone living hundreds of years from now will one day read those very pages. History often remembers kings, sometimes warriors, occasionally explorers. But tonight we spend our evening with different kinds of heroes. People whose greatest journeys took place not across oceans, but across ideas. And our guide leads us toward a table where several scholars are studying mathematical diagrams. One man looks up with kind eyes. His robes are simple. His desk is covered with neat pages filled with numbers and elegant symbols. This is Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. Few people today will recognize his face, yet nearly everyone uses ideas connected to his work. More than 11 centuries ago, al-Khwarizmi wrote books that helped organize methods for solving mathematical problems. One of those books gave the world the word algebra, from the Arabic term al-jabr, meaning the restoration or completion of broken parts. His writings made complex calculations easier to understand. Merchants use them, architects use them, astronomers rely on them. Centuries later, European scholars translated his work into Latin. His ideas spread across universities, changing mathematics forever. Even the word algorithm traces its origin to the Latin form of his name. It is remarkable to think that every time we use a computer or search the internet or ask a calculator to solve a problem, we are, in a very distant way, following path first illuminated by minds like his. Across the room, another scholar carefully examines glass instruments resting upon a wooden table. He studies the stars, night after night. The astronomers of Baghdad did not simply admire the heavens, they measured them, recorded them, compared observations across many years. Their work improved calendars, helped travelers navigate, and deepened humanity's understanding of the universe. Nearby, a physician quietly copies notes into a manuscript. He studies patients with extraordinary care. Rather than accepting every ancient belief without question, he compares observations, asks new questions, looks for better answers. Among the great physicians of this era was al-Razi, whose careful clinical observations influenced medicine for centuries. His writings discussed illnesses, treatments, and the importance of learning from direct experience. He believed that careful observation could teach us as much as old books, and perhaps even more. At yet another table, a translator gently places two manuscripts side by side. One was written centuries earlier in Greek, the other is taking shape in Arabic. Word by word, sentence by sentence, a conversation unfolds across times and generations. The translator does not simply preserve knowledge, he gives it a new life. Without translators, many remarkable ideas might have vanished forever. Instead, they continue. They continue traveling across languages and cultures and generations. The House of Wisdom reminds us that civilization is rarely built by one single person or even one culture. It grows because people listen to one another. They share what they know, question what they think they know, and remain curious enough to keep on learning. The room grows even quieter. Outside, the fountain continues its gentle song beneath the moonlight. A cool breeze carries the scent of jasmine through the open arches. Some scholars have finished their work for today. They carefully return precious manuscripts to their shelves. Others remain still, completely absorbed in thought. No one's asking them to stay. Curiosity itself is guiding them. We watch them with quiet admiration. There is a special kind of wealth. It cannot be carried in a purse. It grows only when it is shared. And perhaps that is why places like this continue to inspire all of us. Because long after their walls have changed or disappeared, because every library, every school, every teacher, and every curious mind keeps that same quiet tradition alive. Tomorrow, as the lamps burn low, We will discover how the ideas born in these peaceful rooms traveled far beyond Baghdad, helping shape the world we know today. This evening has become wonderfully still. Most of Baghdad now sleeps. The busy streets outside have fallen quiet. Only the gentle murmur of the river Tigris and the occasional song of a night bird drift through the warm air. Inside the house of wisdom, only a few lamps remain. Their golden light pulls softly across wooden tables covered with books. The shadows grow long. The conversations become quieter, yet the work continues. Not because of demand, but because curiosity rarely watches the clock. We wander slowly between towering shelves. Each one is filled with voices from distant places and centuries. Some books began their lives in ancient Greece, and some other traveled from Persia or crossed mountains from India. Others arrived from lands farther east where paper makers had perfected techniques that would one day change the world. Every shelf tells another quiet story. Knowledge travels, sometimes slowly, sometimes across generations, but it never truly stands still. We pause beside an enormous wooden table. Spread across it are maps, unlike any we have seen before. The edges are worn from careful use. Small notes fill the empty spaces between rivers and mountains. Some maps show roads stretching toward China. Others describe the Mediterranean. Still others attempt to measure the shape of the known world itself. No map is perfect, but every generation leaves it a little more complete. Nearby, a scholar carefully copies a page describing the movements of the planets. Across the room, another compares two different medical texts. We smile. Learning is not always about discovering something entirely new, but often it is about adding one small stone to a bridge that continues to unite countless others who have already contributed. The House of Wisdom became famous not because it guarded knowledge behind locked doors, but because it encouraged people to build upon it. A philosopher might spend the morning reading Aristotle, and in the afternoon he might respectfully disagree with him. A physician could study the writings of Galen, then record observations from patients that suggested a better treatment. An astronomer might compare ancient stars only to discover that the heavens themselves invited new questions. Respect for the past does not prevent curiosity about the future. And perhaps this balance is one of civilization's greatest strength. We gently open a beautifully illustrated manuscript. Its pages are made of paper, not parchment. Paper-making techniques reached the Islamic world after contact with China, and workshops in places like Baghdad helped make books far more affordable to produce than they had been when parchment was the primary writing material. As books became easier to copy, ideas traveled further. Libraries grew, schools expanded, knowledge became accessible to more people than ever before. Sometimes a simple invention quietly changes history more than the loudest battle could. A few rooms away, a courier carefully wraps several completed manuscripts in cloth. Tomorrow, they will begin another journey. Some will travel to Damascus, others to Cairo. Some may eventually reach cities such as Cordoba in Islamic Spain, where scholars will continue translating, studying, and expanding and building upon them. Generations later, many of those ideas will find their way into universities across Europe. There is no single road that knowledge follows. It moves like water, finding the new path, crossing borders, flowing wherever curious minds welcome it. The House of Wisdom reminds us that learning has always been a shared human story. No civilization discovers everything alone. Every generation inherits ideas from those who came before, adds something to its own, and quietly passes them onward. Outside, the moon now hangs high above Baghdad. Its silver light reflects upon the gentle waters of the river Tigris. The gardens have become silent. The fountains continue their endless song still. Inside the library, one final scholar carefully closes the manuscript. He places it upon its shelf, blows out the lamp beside his desk, and quietly walks into the warm night. Tomorrow, another student will open that same book. Another question will be asked, a new one. Another idea will begin its journey. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson this remarkable place leaves behind. Knowledge does not belong to one person, or one nation, or even one century. It belongs to humanity. And as long as there are people willing to read, to wonder, and to share what they learn, its light will never truly fade. As our journey comes to its peaceful close, we will watch the lamps of Baghdad grow dim beneath the stars and reflect on why places devoted to learning continue to shape the world long after empires have disappeared. The hour has grown late. The moon is high above Baghdad. Its light gently flows across the quiet city, turning everything into shimmering glass. The city is settling into peaceful silence. The busy streets that welcomed merchants only hours ago now rest beneath the cool night air. Some families have already fallen asleep. Others gather quietly beneath open courtyards, sharing the last cup of tea before bedtime. A gentle breeze stirs the palm trees, and somewhere nearby, water continues its endless journey. Its quiet melody has not changed. It is time. May your mind remain curious, and may your heart remain kind. The library will be here tomorrow or whenever you need another volume. Good night.